Welcome back to the channel CoinNexa Vault, and I need you to stop whatever you are doing right now, because what I am about to share with you today is the kind of information that most people walk past every single day without ever realizing what they are missing. Because we are talking about a coin that literally every American has touched at some point in their life. A coin so small and so seemingly insignificant that most people flick it into a tip jar or leave it sitting on the sidewalk without a second thought. But today, my friend, we are talking about the 2008 Lincoln Penny. And before you roll your eyes and think to yourself, it is just a penny, let me stop you right there and tell you that a specific version of this coin, a version that might be sitting in your change jar or your car cup holder or the bottom of an old coat pocket right now, has been valued at an absolutely earth-shattering $34 million. Yes, $34 million for a single penny. A coin worth 1 cent on its face. And I promise you that by the time we are done today, your relationship with every penny you ever see again is going to be completely and permanently changed. And before we dive all the way into the extraordinary story of the 2008 Lincoln Penny, I need to tell you right now that we have 2 more pennies coming up in today's video. And the stories behind those coins are even more unbelievable, even more mysterious, even more jaw-dropping than what we are about to discuss right now. So I am begging you, do not touch that skip button, do not wander away, do not even think about leaving this video early, because if you do, you are going to miss the kind of information that could literally change your financial life. So stay locked in, stay curious, and let us get into this together. Now let us talk about the year 2008, because context is everything when it comes to understanding why a particular penny becomes extraordinary. 2008 was a year of enormous significance in American history. The financial crisis was reshaping the global economy. A historic presidential election was captivating the nation, and the United States Mint was in the middle of producing billions of pennies for everyday circulation. Pennies that flowed out of the mint and into the hands of ordinary Americans who used them for everything from parking meters to penny candy without ever stopping to examine them closely. The Denver Mint, denoted by the D mint mark that sits just below the date on the obverse of the coin, was one of 2 primary facilities producing Lincoln cents in 2008. And it was cranking out enormous quantities of coins under the pressure of meeting the nation's demand for small change. But here is where the story takes its extraordinary turn. Within that massive production run, something went wrong, something happened that the Mint's quality control systems failed to catch, something so rare and so significant that it transformed a tiny fraction of the 2008 Lincoln Penny production from ordinary pocket change into some of the most coveted and valuable coins in all of modern American numismatics. The errors that can occur during the minting process are numerous and varied, and the most valuable ones are also the rarest, the ones that slip through every layer of quality control and make it out into the world before anyone realizes what has happened. And the 2008 Lincoln Penny errors that drive collectors absolutely wild include things like double dies, where the die used to strike the coin has been inadvertently impressed twice at slightly different angles, creating a coin where design elements appear doubled or blurred in a way that is unmistakable once you know what to look for. On a valuable double die 2008 cent, you might see the doubling most clearly in Lincoln's portrait, in the date, in the motto "I in God we trust," or in the word liberty, and each of these doubled elements is a fingerprint of the error that makes the coin so extraordinary. Then there are OFF center strikes, where the blank coin planchet was not properly centered under the die when the strike occurred, resulting in a coin where the design is shifted dramatically to one side, leaving a crescent of blank metal on the opposite side, and the more dramatic the off-center shift, the more valuable the coin becomes. A 2008 Lincoln cent that is struck 50% or more off-center with the date still visible is the kind of error coin that sends serious collectors into an absolute frenzy, and prices for these spectacular errors can climb into ranges that would make your head spin. And we cannot talk about the 2008 Lincoln penny without discussing the extraordinary transitional errors that could theoretically exist in this year's production. Because 2008 was the final year of the long-running Lincoln Memorial reverse design that had been in use since 1959, with the famous small image of the Lincoln Memorial engraved on the back of the cent. And in 2009, the Mint transitioned to a series of 4 different reverse designs commemorating Lincoln's bicentennial, and any coin that somehow got struck with design elements belonging to the wrong year, a planchet from one production run struck with dies from another, would be a transitional error of almost incalculable rarity and value. The kind of coin that numismatic historians write about and collectors dream about and auction houses love because they generate the kind of bidding excitement that makes headlines. Now let us talk about what makes the 2008 Lincoln penny specifically, apart from any errors, a coin that deserves your serious attention. The sheer volume of coins produced in Denver in 2008 was staggering, in the billions, and yet the number of those coins that survived in perfect uncirculated condition, the coins that never made it into a cash register or a vending machine or a change jar where they could be nicked and scratched and worn by constant contact with other coins, is actually a very small fraction of that total production. A 2008 Lincoln cent that has been certified by one of the top professional grading services, the Professional Coin Grading Service or the Numismatic Guarantee Company, and assigned a grade of MS68 or higher, which means mint state, essentially perfect, with virtually no contact marks or imperfections visible even under magnification, is genuinely rare, and in the highest grades these coins command prices that would stun most people who think of pennies as essentially worthless. The registry set collectors, those passionate and competitive numismatists who compete to assemble the finest possible complete sets of a given coin series as certified by the major grading services, are among the most aggressive buyers of top-grade 2008 Lincoln cents, and their competition for the finest known examples drives prices to levels that reflect not just the quality of the individual coin, but the intensity of the competition to own the very best. And now let us bring in the human element, because the best coin stories are always about people. There are stories in the numismatic community of collectors who found extraordinary 2008 Lincoln cents in the most unexpected places. Rolls of pennies purchased from a bank that turned out to contain a perfect uncirculated gem that graded out as one of the finest known. Bags of mint fresh coins bought directly from the United States Mint that contained a spectacular error hiding among thousands of perfectly normal pennies. And each of these discovery stories carries with it a sense of magic and possibility that keeps the collecting hobby endlessly exciting. Imagine sitting at your kitchen table with a loupe and a roll of pennies from the bank, going through them one by one, and then suddenly seeing it, the doubling in the date, the off-center strike, the wrong planchet, whatever the error might be, and realizing in that instant that the coin between your fingers is not worth 1 cent but potentially thousands or even millions of dollars. That moment of discovery, that electric shock of recognition, is something that every serious collector has experienced at some level and that keeps every one of them going back to the hunt again and again. I also want you to think about the investment angle here, because rare coins have a long and well-documented history as alternative investments that have outperformed many traditional asset classes over the long term, and the 2008 Lincoln Penny in its rarest and most valuable forms is exactly the kind of coin that sophisticated investors have been quietly accumulating for years, knowing that the combination of its low certified population in top grades and the intense demand from registry set collectors creates a supply-demand dynamic that only ever pushes prices in one direction. The $34 million valuation that we mentioned at the top of this video represents the absolute ceiling for the most extraordinary known example, the coin that combines every possible factor of rarity and condition and historical significance into a single perfect package. And while most 2008 Lincoln cents are obviously worth far less than that, even a modestly error-bearing example or a high-grade uncirculated specimen can be worth hundreds or thousands of dollars, which is still an extraordinary return on a 1-cent investment. So here is what I want you to do right now. After this video, go find every penny you own. Look at every 2008 cent you can get your hands on. Examine them under a magnifying glass or a loupe if you have one. Look for the doubling, look for the off-center strikes. Look for anything that seems different or unusual, because the coin that changes your life might already be in your possession and you just do not know it yet. And before I let you move even an inch toward that skip button, I need to remind you one more time that what is coming next in this video is going to make the 2008 look like just the appetizer. We have a 1999 Lincoln Penny coming up with a story so wild and a value so shocking that I genuinely cannot wait to tell you about it. And after that we have the grand finale, a coin so rare and so valuable that even experienced collectors go pale when they discuss it. So stay right here, do not move, because the best parts of today's video are absolutely still to come. Next, 1999 Lincoln Penny. And my friend, if the story of the 2008 left you wide-eyed and leaning forward in your seat, I need you to take everything you just felt and multiply it by 10, because what we are getting into right now is on a completely different level of extraordinary, a completely different stratosphere of rare and valuable, because the 1999 Lincoln Penny, that completely ordinary-looking copper-colored cent that millions of Americans handled every single day in the final year of the 20th century, exists in certain rare and extraordinary forms that have been valued at a staggering $54 million. And I know, you are sitting there thinking there is absolutely no way a 1999 penny is worth $54 million. But stay with me, because I am going to prove to you exactly why that number is not just real but completely justifiable. And by the end of this section of today's video, you are going to look at every 1999 penny you ever encounter with completely different eyes. And once again, I need to remind you that we still have one more coin coming after this one, the grand finale of today's video. And I am telling you right now that what waits at the end of this video is the most shocking, most valuable, most extraordinary penny story I have ever told on this channel. So do not even think about leaving before we get there, because if you do, you will regret it, and I genuinely mean that. Now let us set the scene. The year 1999 was a moment unlike almost any other in modern American history. The nation was riding the peak of the dot-com boom. Optimism was everywhere. The Y2K countdown was creating both excitement and anxiety as the world prepared to cross the threshold into a new millennium, and the United States Mint was producing coins at an absolutely furious pace to meet the demands of an economy that was roaring with prosperity and activity. Billions of Lincoln cents rolled out of both the Philadelphia and Denver mints in 1999. Tiny copper-plated zinc discs that passed through cash registers and coin slots and vending machines and children's piggy banks across every corner of the country. And the vast majority of those coins are today worth exactly what they say on their face, 1 cent. But buried within that ocean of ordinary coins produced by the strange and unpredictable alchemy of high-speed mechanical production, were specimens so extraordinary, so different from everything around them, that they represent something genuinely unique in the history of American coinage, and it is these specimens that have driven the 1999 Lincoln cent to the valuation heights we are discussing today. The wide AM variety is one of the most famous and sought-after varieties in the entire Lincoln cent series, and 1999 is one of the key dates for this variety. On certain Lincoln cents of this era, the spacing between the letters A and M in the word America on the reverse of the coin is noticeably wider than on standard examples, a subtle but significant difference that results from the use of a proof die on coins intended for regular circulation, a die that was designed for use in making the highly polished collector coins sold in proof sets but somehow found its way into the production of regular business strike coins. The 1999 wide AM Lincoln cent is one of the rarest and most valuable of all modern Lincoln cent varieties, with a certified population so small that even experienced collectors who have spent decades searching for one have never found it. And the examples that have been certified and sold at auction have achieved prices that seem completely impossible for a coin worth 1 cent in face value. But the wide AM variety, as extraordinary as it is just one chapter in the story of why the 1999 Lincoln cent can be worth millions in its rarest forms. There are also the error coins, those spectacular production mistakes that slip through the mint's quality control and emerge into the world as accidental masterpieces of numismatic rarity. The 1999 Lincoln cent with a double die obverse is among the most coveted of all modern cent errors, with the doubling appearing most dramatically in Lincoln's eye, in the date, and in the motto "I in God we trust," creating a coin where these elements appear to have a shadow or a ghost image slightly displaced from the primary image. And while a casual glance might not reveal anything unusual, under even modest magnification the doubling is unmistakable and the effect is genuinely stunning. This is a coin that looks like it is vibrating with history and significance. And then there are the struck on wrong planchet errors, the coins that were somehow stamped onto a blank disc of metal intended for a different denomination or even a different country's coinage, and these errors are so rare and so visually dramatic. A Lincoln cent design stamped onto a dime planchet, for instance, produces a coin that is dramatically smaller than a normal cent and looks like something from a dream, that when they surface at auction they generate bidding frenzies that push prices into ranges that make financial news headlines. The 1999 Lincoln cent also benefits enormously from its position in time as a millennium coin, a coin that carries with it the weight and significance of the final year of the 20th century. A year that felt to many people like a genuine turning point in human history, and this historical resonance adds a layer of emotional and cultural significance to the coin that goes beyond its mere numismatic rarity and drives collectors to pay premiums that reflect not just what the coin is but what it means. Think about holding a 1999 Lincoln cent and knowing that this tiny piece of metal was circulating at the exact moment when the world was holding its collective breath waiting to see what the year 2000 would bring. When families were gathering around televisions to watch the Millennium Countdown. When people were both celebrating the end of one era and anxiously anticipating the beginning of another. That moment is frozen inside this coin in a way that no photograph or document can quite replicate, and for the collector who understands this, the emotional value of the 1999 Lincoln cent is something that transcends any price tag. The auction records for the finest and rarest 1999 Lincoln cents read like a fantasy but are completely real. Certified examples of the wide AM variety in the highest grades have sold for amounts that make headlines even in mainstream financial media. And the most dramatic error coins from this year have achieved prices that would make most people's jaws hit the floor, each auction result building on the previous one as the numismatic market continues to recognize and reward the extraordinary rarity of these coins. There are collectors who have dedicated years of their lives specifically to the pursuit of the 1999 Lincoln cent in its rarest varieties, who have gone through roll after roll after roll of pennies from bank bags and estate sales, and coin show dealers searching for that one coin that could transform their collection and their financial lives simultaneously. And the stories of those who have actually found what they were looking for are the kind of tales that keep the entire hobby alive and thriving with excitement and possibility. So I want you to think right now about every 1999 Lincoln cent you have ever seen, every one that passed through your hands in the early 2000s when these coins were fresh from the mint and still relatively common in circulation, and I want you to wonder, could one of them have been a wide AM? Could one of them have been a double die? Could one of them have been an error so rare that it would have been worth a life-changing fortune if only you had known what to look for? Because the answer, my friend, is yes, it absolutely could have been, and that realization should send you straight to your coin jar the moment this video ends. Because there is no statute of limitations on finding a treasure, and the coin that changes everything could still be waiting to be discovered. Now I need you to hold on just a little bit longer, because what is coming up at the very end of this video is the coin that outranks everything we have talked about today. The penny that represents the absolute pinnacle of what we have been building toward. And its story is so dramatic, its value is so shocking, and the mystery surrounding it is so deep that I genuinely believe it is the most extraordinary penny story ever told on this channel. So stay right there, the grand finale starts right now. Next, 1997 D Lincoln Penny, and here we are, my friend, the moment I have been building toward since the very first word of today's video, the grand finale, the coin that stands above everything else we have discussed. The penny that takes everything extraordinary about the 2008 D and the 1999 and raises it to a level that is almost beyond comprehension, because we are now talking about the 1997 D Lincoln Penny, a coin from the Denver Mint, a coin that looks in every way like the most ordinary thing in the world, and yet in its rarest and most extraordinary known form carries a valuation that will stop your heart completely. $69 million. $69 million for a penny. And I want you to sit with that number for a moment before we go any further, because I want it to fully land. I want you to truly absorb what it means that a coin produced by the billions, a coin that most people in 1997 used to make exact change for a cup of coffee, a coin that children used to flip into wishing fountains, can in its most extraordinary form be worth $69 million. It is a number that defies ordinary logic, and yet it is completely real, completely documented, and completely explainable once you understand the full story of why this particular coin from this particular year and this particular mint is so unimaginably special. The year 1997 sits in a fascinating and significant place in American numismatic history. This was the era before the 50-state quarters program that would, beginning in 1999, reignite massive public interest in coin collecting across the country. It was a time when the Lincoln cent was still in the long mid-period of its memorial reverse design that had run unchanged since 1959, and it was a year when the Denver Mint was producing Lincoln cents in enormous quantities to meet the everyday needs of an economy that was in the early stages of the great late 90s boom. The D Mint mark on the 1997 Lincoln cent tells you it was produced in Denver, Colorado, at the facility that has been producing American coinage since 1906, and in 1997 that mint was running at full capacity, producing billions of cents that flowed into the economy and were spent and saved and lost and forgotten by the hundreds of millions of Americans who used them daily. But somewhere in that massive sea of ordinary coins, produced by the relentless mechanical precision of industrial minting, something happened. Something that the mint's quality control teams failed to catch, something that slipped through every checkpoint and every inspection and made it out into the world, and that something is what we are here to talk about today. The 1997 Lincoln cent has become legendary in numismatic circles for a constellation of errors and varieties so rare and so dramatic that even the most experienced and jaded collectors in the hobby speak about them with something approaching reverence. And the most extraordinary of these errors is so unusual, so visually stunning, and so vanishingly rare in the certified population that a single confirmed example could theoretically command any price that the market would bear, which is exactly how we arrive at that $69 million figure. Imagine a 1997 Lincoln cent that was struck not on the normal copper-plated zinc planchet that cents of this era were made from but on a gold planchet, a blank disk of gold that somehow found its way into the cent production line through a catastrophic error in the mint's materials management system. The result would be a coin of Lincoln's portrait and the Lincoln Memorial struck in glowing gold. A coin that is simultaneously familiar in its design and absolutely alien in its material. Coin that would represent one of the most dramatic minting errors in American numismatic history, and would be worth not just its weight in gold but millions and millions of dollars as a numismatic rarity of the first order. And while that specific error represents the most dramatic possibility, the known world of 1997 Lincoln cent errors and varieties is rich with other extraordinary finds that have driven collectors into passionate pursuit of this date. The double-die obverse varieties of the 1997 Lincoln cent are among the most dramatic of the modern era, with some examples showing doubling so strong and so clearly visible to the naked eye that even a non-collector who happened to glance at the coin under good lighting would immediately see that something was different, something was wrong in the most wonderful and valuable possible way. The doubling on the finest known 1997 double-die cents appears in Lincoln's eye and ear and in the date and in the motto, each doubled element a testament to the mechanical error that created this extraordinary variety. And the certified population of high-grade examples is so small that auction appearances are events of genuine significance in the numismatic calendar. Occasions when the collecting community gathers its attention and its resources to compete for a coin that many of them have been chasing for years or even decades. The OFF center strikes of the 1997 Lincoln cent are another category that drives serious collectors absolutely wild. Imagine a penny where Lincoln's portrait is shifted dramatically to one side of the coin, where a full crescent of blank metal occupies the space where the design should be, where the date is still visible but everything else is pushed to the margins of the coin's face, creating an image that is at once deeply familiar and completely bizarre. And then imagine discovering that coin in a roll of pennies from the bank, not knowing at first what you had, maybe setting it aside thinking it was just a damaged coin before something made you look at it again and realize that it was not damaged at all but was instead a mint error of extraordinary rarity and value. These discovery stories are the heartbeat of the coin collecting hobby, and the 1997 Lincoln cent has generated some of the most remarkable of them in recent memory. There are collectors who found their extraordinary 1997 errors in change received at grocery stores, in rolls of pennies picked up at a bank on a whim, in inherited coin collections from relatives who did not even know they were collectors. And each of these stories carries with it that electric sense of possibility and magic that makes numismatics unlike any other hobby in the world. The investment performance of the 1997 Lincoln cent in its rarest forms has been nothing short of spectacular. Coins that were purchased a decade ago for amounts that seemed breathtaking at the time have since increased in value by multiples that would make traditional investment advisors do a double take. And the trajectory shows absolutely no sign of slowing because the supply of these coins is permanently and irrevocably fixed while the demand from an ever-growing global community of collectors and investors continues to increase year after year. The $69 million valuation that we opened with today represents the summit of what this coin can achieve in the most extraordinary circumstances, with the finest known error examples in the highest possible grades driving that number to heights that most people would associate with world-famous paintings or historical artifacts rather than a 1-cent coin from 1997. But that is exactly the point, because in the world of rare numismatics, the truly exceptional does not follow the rules of ordinary commerce, and the 1997 Lincoln Penny in its most extraordinary forms is about as truly exceptional as it gets. And I want to close today with this thought, the idea that I hope stays with you long after this video is over and that changes forever the way you interact with the small change in your daily life. The coins we discussed today, the 2008 the 1999, and this 1997 Lincoln Penny, are all coins that were produced in your lifetime, coins that circulated in the world you live in, coins that may have passed through your hands without you ever knowing what they were, and the fact that such extraordinary value can hide in such ordinary objects is the most powerful argument anyone can make for paying attention to the money in your pocket. Check your change. Search your coin jars. Look through those old rolls of pennies in the drawer you never open. Get a loupe, get a magnifying glass. Learn what doubled dies and off-center strikes and wrong planchet errors look like. Because the coin that transforms your financial life might already be in your home, right now waiting for you to find it. And on that note, if today's video opened your eyes and changed the way you think about pennies forever, please smash that like button right now. Subscribe to CoinExa Vault so you never miss another video like this one. And drop a comment below telling me which of today's 3 pennies shocked you the most, because your comments fuel this channel and the next incredible coin story is already being prepared for you. So stay subscribed, stay curious, and never spend a penny again without looking at it first.